It's a covenant cleanup.
Personal foul. Clipping.
Who?
Ooh! No way!
I always love that one.
Minnesota is so hot.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Speculation. Everybody, here we go. Everybody ready for 9 to noon on a Tuesday from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. It is our annual Tuesday stop at the practice facility and a non-game home for your Minnesota Vikings. And this is 9 to noon, so welcome. It's Paul Allen with Nordo, Mad Producer 1 via the X Machine. If you would like to follow and are so inclined, that's where you can find him. And Brett Blakemore guides the Great Ship Love Covenant from FM 100.3 KFAN. Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, joins us at 11 a.m. today for X's and O's. So make that appointment audio listening at 11 o'clock and hear from the reigning National Football League Coach of the Year off a dismantling of the Cincinnati Bengals. We are 2 hours away from that. Yesterday, Kevin O'Connell conducted his weekly Monday press conference, the day after bit, the post-mortem, so to speak, depending on who won and who lost. I found his presser yesterday to be fascinating and sprinkled with subtle nuggets involving important things with Minnesota Vikings football. And to pay that off for yourselves, if indeed you think what interests me may interest you, then make sure you listen at 11 o'clock because those topics are they include but are not limited to Christian Darrisaw, Donovan Jackson, Harrison Smith, Brian Flores, and something called black pudding. But first, there were good times and bad times with that press conference yesterday with what the coach shared and said. And, off of it, some will become hyperbolic and some will become hyper accurate. And the hyperbolic nature of some takes that may start percolating and start circulating if the Minnesota Vikings beat the Pittsburgh Steelers at something called Kroke Stadium, Kroke Field, Kroke Park, whatever it's officially titled for Sunday's 8:30 in the morning life changer against the Pittsburgh Steelers. If it plays off a hyperbolic / hyper accurate question we brought up last week on Tuesday 9 to noon, and it simply was in passing, with no stress involved for anybody as part of the Love Covenant listening audience or team. But nevertheless, into the Cincinnati game, the hyperbolic or hyper accurate question was, what if Carson Wentz goes lights out 3 consecutive games and they win every game, then they get a bye and they come out of it against his former team, Philadelphia, who, by the way, knows how to confuse you on defense. And we had myriad answers. We had it was a long, winding talker. And I can tell you right now that talker is going to continue to be long, winding.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to come a time where we're all going to have to change our faces and recognize that the bye week, the off week, is required for many reasons, including thinking things out. So let's hope Carson Wentz plays so well against the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cleveland Browns that this hyperbolic / hyper accurate suggestion, question, take, talker, or tidbit actually has merit to it. The scribe Ben Gessling, who joins us at 10 o'clock. Well, he's antithetical to hyperbolic, and he'll be here about 10:03. We happen to be quite excited about that. But, hold up first. About last night, the demise of the division champions may be greatly exaggerated.
Second and goal from the 1. Goff out of the gun. Hands it to Montgomery. Tries the left side. Did not get in. It's going to be 3rd and goal from inside the 1.
There it is.
There, they say he did get in. Late call. There it is. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Better late than never.
Dan Miller and Lomas Brown. Dan, the man on the fan, frequent contributor to 9 to Noon as part of the Lions' vast and ever-expanding audio network, describing a victory at Baltimore last night. And I guess we can begin there in quick-fire fashion because we have 3 downs of sound coming up around the corner, and I would imagine the Lions are in the mix. But I'll just lay this out for Mad Producer right now. The 4th down to dagger the game.
Yep.
Around midfield, and the Lions line up in an absolute 70-80% we are going to run set with David Montgomery in the game, Jahmyr Gibbs out of the game. They go a little play action. They get 44 for the Ravens to bite just enough so that Amon-Ra St. Brown on 4th down, basically to win the game because the Ravens still had 3 timeouts. And this game's at Baltimore, by the way. And winning at M&T Bank Stadium is not the easiest thing in the world. Ask the Cleveland Browns, who were there the previous week and got beat by like 25. That vaunted front 7 that seems to be wreaking havoc against other NFC North teams, played Baltimore and got beat 41-17. So vaunted defense this butt, I guess. That just shows you what Baltimore is capable of, A, and B, Baltimore's a tough beat at home. That is a really, really underrated, tricky, difficult place to play when people are focusing on U.S. Bank Stadium, the House of Pain, Seattle in the 12s, Arrowhead, and so on, Lincoln Financial. That Ravens bit, when they get going, that's a really difficult place to win. Detroit found a way to win, and on that 4th down play, you can sell the play action, you can get all the right guys to bite, but the quarterback still has to come through with a perfectly lofted pass to number 14. He did. They won. And perhaps the demise of the defending division champions has been greatly exaggerated by 2 people on 9 to Noon and a lot of people around the country. And good morning.
Good morning. The thing that I may have missed, I didn't miss it. It's just maybe I placed too much importance on the coordinators, is the head coach. Because the players go out, we know they're uber talented, and it's not shocking to me that Jared Goff in that spot made that throw. It's not shocking in that spot that Amon-Ra St. Brown comes up with the catch. It's not shocking to me that play worked and they daggered the game. Mm-hmm. What I have failed to factor in is, as I was so confident and have been, and not that it won't come true, but my goodness, maybe I was wrong. They still got the head coach, because that moment there is not necessarily about
they love him,
the cojones of a John Morton.
Yeah,
it's the philosophy of the head coach.
They love him. The
mindset of the head coach has not changed. The aura and how he handles himself and how he handles this team has not changed. And in 3 downs of sound, I'll play a bit of his press conference last night. He's kind of talking about how every game is different, and we'll continue this conversation more in depth, specifically on Dan Campbell. But what we maybe didn't factor in is we're thinking, man, 10.5, that's a fat number. Man, 10.5, a lot of change on that team. New coaches, new ideas, guys that want to put their stamps on these big jobs that they have just acquired. The high-enders on that team didn't change. And most importantly in this case, as you watched the game last night, I mean, that Derrick Henry fumble, though. I mean, whether it was the opener against Buffalo and then last night, Derrick Henry slamming his helmet down, now effectively, in some ways, responsible for both Baltimore's losses with those late drops.
That's right.
But the philosophy of Dan Campbell has not changed, which means I may, and you may, others may need to change their face on the idea that the Kitties are on the way down the depth chart of the NFC North.
That's part of next segment and something called 3 Downs of Sound, First Down. I'll save some of the takes for then because you laid it out beautifully with Dan Campbell. And after the Lions closed on the 4th down last night to Amon-Ra St. Brown, the ESPN cameras cut to Dan Campbell, and you can see not 1, not 2, 3 players come up behind him, smiling, hugging him from behind, basically like, you're my dog. Okay? Not everybody thinks what we do is right with this whole 4th down thing. You're my dog.
Yeah.
And win or lose, you're my dog. And because why is he their dog? Because the dog is a man's best friend, and they know they can trust him. That stuff is important when it comes to the long haul grind of the National Football League.
As an aside, though, just a small aside on the Ravens, man, they need to get healthy. Are you kidding me with that defense?
Well, I mean, last night and in the Buffalo game, it looked like truly that they could get Ray Lewis and Ed Reed reincarnate to be healthy and come out and play, and it still wouldn't help a ton.
Yeah, they couldn't get pressure on Goff for the most part last night. I mean, and they're missing Van Noy and Madubuike in the middle, but they got problems.
So off that KO press conference yesterday, O'Connell joins at 11 o'clock, and once again, Nordo wrote this part for me in the Tolstoy. Paul found his presser yesterday to be fascinating and sprinkled with subtle nuggets involving important things. And that'll take place at 11 o'clock. Good times, bad times for the Minnesota Vikings. Ryan Kelly, he's the center. Ryan Kelly, he was the battery mate with Carson Wentz like 4 or 5 years ago in Indianapolis. He will return. The starting center will return for the Steelers game. Jordan Addison will be unveiled in the Pittsburgh Steelers game at Croak. But rookie left guard Donovan Jackson is not playing the next 2, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Well, he's not playing the next 2 for sure. Then they go to the bye. Then you come out of it. And, hey, Donovan, welcome back. That's Jordan Davis. Yeah, the guy you saw winning the game on the blocked field goal. Yeah, that guy. And really, Donovan improving incrementally game by game.
I agree.
Bursich sent me some text yesterday after analyzing the film, the All-22 of the Vikings offense, saying Donovan Jackson played his best game as a pro, and it wasn't even close. And what's interesting with that is it's synonymous, or it works hand in hand, so to speak, with the running between the tackles and the powerhouse running attack led by the bell cow. And that's what Jackson does at this stage of Donovan Jackson's career.
I think you have to give Juergen some credit in the run game, too. But
as the game went on.
Donovan Jackson looked so good on Sunday. Absolutely he did.
And this is the case for most rookies who play on the inside. Specifically when you have such a powerful base like he does from the waist down with the leg strength and everything, is his forward thrust will move man. Donovan Jackson moves man for profit, and clearly Kevin O'Connell respects the young guard for playing through what might have been a terrific amount of pain with this wrist injury that got surgery yesterday, and he will be on the trip to Ireland and England, but will not play. So that's part of some of the good times and the bad times. I'm going to leave you with a few hyperbolic / hyper accurates, or we can do them during Bikes Bites. It is dealer's choice for the con.
I want to hear some hyperbolic or hyper accurate ideas right now.
Is this hyperbolic or hyper accurate? Is this a hyperbolic take / question, or is it hyper accurate? And first, the Detroit Lions absolutely are the best team in the NFC North.
Through 3 weeks, that's hyper accurate, PA. That's hyper accurate for a team as talented as they are, the new coordinating staff and all the new parts having to work on the fly from a seemingly disastrous opener at Lambeau through now on the road in Baltimore at M&T, where that place, and Lamar, by the way, no big deal. Lamar has an absolute ace performance last night, but it didn't matter because they couldn't keep up with that Tide rolling all over them in the form of that Lions offense. As of this moment, with our team still trying to figure it out and get healthy with Carson in the mix now, and with what we saw from that other team on the shores of Lake Erie, the Lions are absolutely the best team in the division at the moment.
Okay, see, absolutely is the key.
Yes.
Now, 9 to noon is your contextual leader. So, therefore, if I say Detroit is the best team in the NFC North, that's different from a hyperbolic or hyper-accurate standpoint of saying absolutely. So, when you consider the word absolutely,
yes,
we don't need to define absolute.
No, we do not.
It means that it is, see, I don't think with the word absolutely in there, it can be, I think it's hyperbolic. And here's why. Because absolute means there is no room for conversation on the other side. It's completely been eliminated. Well, I don't think it has.
Okay.
So
you think it's hyperbolic?
I think it's
Okay.
Now, if somebody were to say to me, nice take, nice wins total take, or nice take on a Mahogany, or the Rutledge playing right guard, and Glasgow's now at center. Detroit is the best team in the NFC North. My response could be, well, I would agree with you because it's the target at which to shoot, and things are morphing from a coaching cohesion standpoint a little more fluidly and quickly than I thought. But from an absolute standpoint, they got killed by a division rival in the first week. Secondly, I could just end it right there.
Yeah, okay.
That would eliminate the absolute for me. So I would say yes. Looks like the best team in the NFC North through 3 and the target at which to shoot. Hyperbolic or hyper-accurate with this. Now, the operative word here will be will. Will. W-I-L-L. Green Bay never's the operative word.
Yeah, never's a big word.
Thank you. Green Bay never will win big games because of their quarterback.
Oof.
Green Bay never will avoid Dre Greenlaw, and so on and so on. Not that the Cleveland game was the biggest game in the history of big games. It wasn't. But the interception was so bad at the end with coaches and players absolutely thinking, how?
Right.
I mean, how? Okay, so, hey, Tom Brady missed Rob Gronkowski streaking down the field wide open and, threw an interception, but not like that. Patrick Mahomes, all the best of the best, all of them have missed players who would have gone on for big gains or touchdowns. Tucker Kraft would have been the right read here because he's gone. If you just look to the right, he's gone. Tucker Kraft is a common thread here with these Jordan Love-related problems, in that if you go back to that 49ers playoff game where Matt LaFleur laid out just the perfect plan to go on the road to do the Santa Clara Strut, and their dogs at San Francisco, and Love's following the plan beautifully.
Yep.
The entire game until free will superseded coach's will, and he decided he wanted to run willy-nilly out to the right, throw on the back foot all the way across the field, and it was picked off by Dre Greenlaw, and your season's over. Meanwhile, it's abundantly clear to me that if you follow the plan in that playoff game and just take the 5 or 7 step drop, sell something to the right, well, there's Tucker Kraft left flat, who probably would have gone surging by the sideline for a first down. So the chains would have moved. That was the plan. So there are around a handful of examples, maybe a little less, but Green Bay never will win big games because of their quarterback.
So now you got, you're putting it on a tee for me just to dagger.
It's hyperbolic or hyper-accurate.
I think at this moment it's still hyperbolic.
Right.
But you have,
I do too.
In the same way that, you had asked Chris Finch if losing in consecutive conference finals, if there was potentially a stigma attached to it. He did not like the word stigma, and the conversation was good.
Well, let's backpedal a little bit. The actual framing of the question was, you don't want a stigma to develop.
There you go. Okay.
So, I mean,
I didn't mean to imply that
you know what I
you
mean.
were implying that there was a stigma.
Right.
But there is the idea around it. Similarly, of course, with Kevin O'Connell.
It's a good comparison.
He's 0-2 in playoff games. So is there potentially, if he was to go 0-3 in playoff games, does a stigma or could a stigma develop?
And with Love and with the Wolves Western Conference Finals keep getting stuck. It's a good analogy.
At one point, biggest game of his career. I mean, that Dallas playoff game that got them to the Niners was such a massive outclassing moment for the Packers in totality over Dallas that, what do you garner for that? Everything went well, just like specifically for the Vikings. You can't glean an entire season, even though you just smashed the Bengals 48-10. There's much more to learn from Carson and everybody. But in the biggest spot for Jordan Love's career in that moment, he came up limp. He absolutely did. It was a terrible decision, and he throws the pick. Game over. They're out of the playoffs. We know that. Similarly, last season in the playoffs, and I know producer Brett Blakemore is aware of this, that the conversation with the injury in the opener to the Eagles, and then you win a couple of games with Malik Willis, you bring Love back against the Vikings Week 4 at Lambeau. Awful first half. Comes alive. There's a Jalen Naylor muff punt in the mix. Suddenly they put up like 27-28 in the second half, and it's a meat grinder to the finish. And it almost kind of felt like he was back. And over the final 6-7 game stretch of the season, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, whatever his total interceptions were last season, like 2/3 of them were early, and then he went on this massive non-turnover stretch. Well, let's go to the wild card game against the Philadelphia Eagles, in which you throw 3 interceptions in that game. So next biggest game of Jordan Love's career, gotta win it or go home, he comes up limp.
Yeah.
So now he is in 2 spots, come up and made massive mistakes in the biggest moments of his career. I still can't dagger him. I still think that's hyperbolic.
Agreed. He hasn't played enough games.
He hasn't played enough games.
I agree.
Now, but then to that end, if we see something similar this year, week 3 at Cleveland against that defense, you actually have a right to play a meat grinder game. You don't have a right to justify that terrible, hideous interception to Delpit at the end. But I am not ready, as of this particular moment, to dagger Jordan Love's entire career. And for Packers fans' sake, I'm sure they're hoping he learns from that and you don't see it again.
I promise to be short-winded during 3 downs of sound because I can tell we're going to marathon this, courtesy of Steve's Appliances and StevesAppliances.com. The appliance variety and selection, fantastic. 7,000-foot showroom in Mounds View. Brian and Sarah with welcome with open arms will welcome you into that thing if you're looking to get appliances. But there are a couple things with Steve's Appliances that seem to resonate with, like Nordo, who did you get a washer and dryer or just?
I got the pair, yeah.
Yep, got the pair. So free recycling. Okay, it's like they take the L's and they recycle them and take them away at no charge. Not a lot of places do that, and also guaranteed low prices. So, Steve's, thank you very much. StevesAppliances.com. We're marathon in this mug. I got 2 more for you, and we'll go quick. Andrew Van Ginkel is the most important player on the Minnesota Vikings defense. Hyperbolic or hyper accurate?
So I saw something and I was so lazy about it. I haven't gone back and actually looked at the game book to determine this.
But all 8 plays he played?
Well, that is so that's correct.
Yeah, O'Connell referenced it in the press conference yesterday. So I'm leaving.
That's insane.
I'm leaving 9 to noon and the Star 680 side studio. And then Nordo goes, Van Ginkel played 8 plays. I'm like, what? It felt like, I don't know, 16 to 20. It felt like double. Then O'Connell, in his press conference yesterday, and again, pilfering Nordo's notes here, he wanted me to say, Paul found Kevin's presser yesterday to be fascinating and sprinkled with subtle nuggets involving important things involving Minnesota Vikings football. Well, yeah, for Kevin to drop it, to say he only played 8 plays, and just dropped it in there.
So that's accurate.
And it wasn't even a crouton leading to the chef salad. That would be Darisaw.
Yeah, you got the ribeye first.
Or Jackson. And or Hitman. A couple of key words in there that just got 9 to noon going for the X's and O's today. But is this a hyperbolic statement? Or is it hyper accurate?
I think it's hyperbolic.
Yeah, because it's a team game.
Because it absolutely is, and the defense also came alive with the return of number 22.
Thank you.
Which helped maybe solidify and even at the least like organize things on the back end there. 8 plays and 2 sacks though.
Well, the Gink's unbelievable.
The Gink is on fire.
He's the bomb.
5
He's
alarm.
the Dan Campbell of players. They just all, it's like he makes a good play and there are 3 guys behind him waiting to hug him. Why? Because he's their dog. What's a dog? Man's best friend.
It is hyperbolic, but and part of it too, to the credit of the game and how things played out.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was Javon Hargrave with I don't know, this chest injury, but he could have come back if this was a close game and not a blowout.
Right.
I'd imagine Van Ginkel would have played more snaps if it was a nail biter.
Well, when O'Connell said that after the game Sunday, and we're doing 9 to noon yesterday, you indicated you thought Kevin was lying.
Yes, I did. Yes, I thought the coach was lying about all of that.
Last one for the the Van Ginkel bit is having identity. Like, what's your identity? Okay, what is your identity? What is your team's identity? What is the proverbial calling card? When you have Grenard and Van Ginkel, and then the way Dallas Turner's playing. Well, that's identifiable with high-end defensive play, specifically with the rush and against the run. So that is an identifiable piece that when they're all out there together, specifically 43 and 58, my, oh my, show am good. And lastly, the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers are 3-0 and have lost Nick Bosa for the season, their best pass rusher. So San Francisco from 3-0 loses Bosa for the season and will not make the playoffs from 3-0.
Oh, that's hyperbolic.
Okay, tell me why.
Well, I think it's hyperbolic as I'm scrambling feverishly to pull up the depth chart. I still have to have a high-end level of respect and faith for Mac Jones, despite, he threw a terrible interception in that game over the weekend, but his ability just to keep that train somehow on the tracks and moving forward. I think that they absolutely won't make the playoffs, I think is 100% hyperbolic, given the uneasy nature of...
So McCaffrey's going to stay healthy all year?
Well, that might be hyperbolic.
I'm just asking. He never does.
Okay, does Darnold turn back into a pumpkin? And so far, actually, it looks like he won't. He's been playing some good ball for the Seahawks.
Who do they play week 18?
Are they playing? It's a Seattle Niners bit?
Well, no, I don't know, but you don't even have to look. Is there a week 18?
There is.
So you see what I'm getting at here?
They're hosting the Birds week 18.
Well, you see what I'm getting at here? I'm getting at, hey, this is great. The wonderful, wonderful journey here.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great vacation and trip this has been. We've stopped 14 different places, and we've absolutely loved every single stop. We went to Jacksonville, and it was cold, and it was a little rainy, and the beaches were rocky and stuff, but we still got out of there with a vacation W, and then we got to the end of the trip, and there was a cliff, and the brakes broke, and we all fell off, and everybody died. So just consider that.
Well, they're 3-0,
which is a little hyperbolic on my part.
I think the most important factor in this,
trying to make Spearfish laugh.
They're 2-0 in the NFC West right now, and so they have a dub over the Seahawks and the Cards in that 3-game set. They're hosting Jacksonville this weekend. They have a chance to go to 4-0. I think they're going to tail off. This is
point.
I can't remember when I mentioned this. I look at the Niners like. When it comes to the quarterback, for instance, and we got to figure it out with J.J. McCarthy, but Shanahan, it's a testament to how good he is as a coach that he continually brings his teams into the mix and can contend despite clearly missing pieces. Aging O-line on the left side, completely new face. From a skill set perspective, you hope Ricky Pearsall turns out. You don't have your best tight end or your best wide receiver in Ayuk.
And how do you let a game-changing guard like Aaron Banks leave and expect... But anyway, you were saying?
I think it's hyperbolic at this stage to say that they certainly would not make the playoffs. The division wins plus the 3-0 record puts them in a spot to. It'll be a grind for them, but I would actually bet on Shanahan finding his way there.
Yeah, and you know what? Even without McCaffrey, if they lose McCaffrey eventually for a couple of games or whatever, and everything, Deebo Samuel's playing for the Commanders, all that kind of stuff. Purdy, Mac Jones, he will steal enough Kevin O'Connell and Sean McVay related plays to get himself through the malaise.
See, there we go.
That's the middle of the season. Okay, all right.
You know that he was watching Sunday's game, and it will absolutely, it'll truly work out the same way.
100%.
Just like the Jordan Addison pass bit.
It's Jawan Jennings. Yes, it'll be the Jefferson to Naylor, right, Sunday?
I think it was it Zay? Was it Zay?
Zay.
I think it was Zay Scott.
Whomever caught it, they did quite well at their job. Yeah, we'll see that in the wild card round in the third quarter.
That's how Shanahan works.
Picked off by Bo Melton. And there he goes. 40-30.
That's what makes him such a brilliant coach. He actually hasn't had to write or develop his own offense in years.
Oh, for sure.
McVay and O'Connell.
You're listening to 9 to Noon from the Minnesota Vikings practice facility known as Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. A regretful Brett Blakemore. I say regret-worthy because he willingly accepted to produce 9 to Noon today. Just to make some extra bucks.
Yeah.
And he has to listen to this or chooses to listen to this for a little bit, or maybe he doesn't. He's guiding the Great Ship Love Covenant, that Green Bay Packer loving Double B, Brett Blakemore. With Eric Nordquist, I'm Paul Allen. Kevin O'Connell joins at 11 o'clock. Ben Gessling before that at 10 o'clock. When we return, we will zing through 3 downs of sound. It's tied to the NFC North. Thank you, TimberTech. Thank you, TimberTech.com. We'll be right back.
Comedian Kelsey Cook is bringing a night of laughs to the Fitzgerald Theater October 4th. Catch one of 2 shows, including a special taping. Enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets today. KFAN contest page. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest. Enter.
Welcome back, 9 to Noon, and it is time for... Well, this is going to be a little bit of a mashup. So we've done
3 downs of sound bites.
We've done it before, but we haven't done it in a long time. So let's just kick this thing off with some 3 downs of sound.
Time now for PA's 3 downs of sound.
Hey, that's Dave Allen. 3 downs of sound / Vikes Bites. It's brought to you by our buddies at Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. You can shop online. Box of meat shows up at your doorstep. Or you can go to Coburn's, Kowalski's locations, your local co-ops. They're proud sponsors of Gophers Athletics. And the key to all of this, it's an elite product, regenerative agriculture, nutrient-dense beef. It tastes delicious. I've smoked it. I've grilled it. I've cooked it. Kids love it, the whole bit. It's a Clearwater, Minnesota company. So Matt and everybody involved, we love you at Thousand Hills. In 3 downs of sound, let's just kick it off with first down.
First down.
To the Green Bay Packers with an NFC North bent as part of all of this, Matt LaFleur addressing the media, I believe it was yesterday afternoon, had myriad things to say, a little bit of petulance after the tough loss at the Cleveland Browns. But here he is, I believe, when asked about special teams.
The unfortunate thing about whether, special teams in general is when there is a mistake, a lot of times they're like catastrophic mistakes. And so obviously the end of the game, that's a bad one to have happen. But all in all, I thought just in terms of I would say most of the emphasis typically when you're just talking across the league is placed on punt. And you're doing everything you can not to get a punt blocked. I think sometimes you can take for granted the field goal block. Obviously, yesterday I think was an extreme across the league in regards to the number of blocks that happened. Bottom line with us, I think it comes down to just being disciplined and trusting your technique and what you're coached to do on a daily basis. And unfortunately, we got lifted. and we played with poor pad level, and we didn't take the correct steps and just didn't perform the right technique. And so if you don't do that against a really good team that is going to rush hard, you're susceptible to having a catastrophic event occur.
Catastrophic indeed.
Jeez.
And the way he laid that out.
Let it out, brother.
What a crushing moment for LaFleur and the Packers, and specifically Packers fans. But he nailed it there. Is simple mistakes are catastrophic in the special teams game. Totally agree with him in the idea of there being so much focus on blocking a punt. Mm-hmm. You just kind of think it, and you see it a lot still, even on extra points, despite moving them back. It is kind of a layup drill in some respects. You'll watch players kind of get that initial burst off the line, and then they just kind of chill. Yep. But when teams get serious about it, a simple mistake can crush a game. And he also mentioned it there, PA. There were, within a real-time minute of about 8 real-time minutes, you had the block in Cleveland, you had the block in Philly, and the block by the Jets at Tampa. How in some ways that feels unprecedented, how wonky and weird things got in the kicking game across the NFL in such a short period of time.
Well, I mean, it was a common thread week number 1. It started week 1. Even the final game of the week was the Vikings and the Bears, and Ben Johnson got greedy looking for an extra 5 yards, as he said in his press conference, and he let Cairo Santos kick the ball knowing he can't kick it out of the end zone.
Yeah.
Well, that was a mistake, and Ben owned up to it. Also that week, the guy with the different looking last name, but it's pronounced Schmidt for Cleveland. Well, remember that he missed like an extra point and a 33-yard field goal, and they lose to the Bengals. The column loses to the Bengals by a point, and the Bengals had Joe Burrow. So Kevin had Zach and the Bengals dead to rights that game. But Andre Schmidt, who we'll see in a couple of weeks, and beat Green Bay, he's new. He's new, and he made some mistakes, and it cost him a game. But with Green Bay and Cleveland, when you craft that thing, and the more I hear about their defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, and how well respected he is around the league, I believe it. I mean, he's a very, very well respected defensive coordinator at a very young part of his National Football League career. So the right people are all saying the right things about him. So I believe it. But when you craft that game in a way so that it's like, if we do this, this, and this, we can't lose the game. Even if they flooded against Josh and we struggle a little there and we're on the road and at first road game, if we do these 3 things, we cannot lose this game against this team. Well, that gets you can't throw it to Denzel Ward with Tucker Kraft streaking wide open.
Right.
So it's turnovers will be part of that. When did they happen? Why did they happen? And what was missed? That's the catastrophic part of the game. Okay, so kicks are going to get blocked, man. Okay, people are going to throw it to other people. Yeah, but at that stage of the game, with somebody open to win the game, you talk about a chain of events. That happens. They get down inside the 5 or around there. Then Flacco fades left to the end zone. Safety Evan Williams mugs the receiver, PI, and then they get in. So that's a catastrophic little boom, boom, boom right there,
Absolutely. Still, before we move on, we'll actually pause and then we'll transition to the Bears. I did want to play one more, specifically a bit later in the press conference. I think Brett found it, talking about the 5 sacks.
5 sacks yesterday is kind of one-off. Jordan just got 14 total all last year.
Yeah, there were a couple that, obviously going into the game, there was a huge emphasis on not allowing Myles Garrett to wreck the game in terms of just trying to chip him. And typically when we usually chip and then get out as a check down, where we were spending a lot of time on him, and it did not enable some of our check downs to get out. And I think that was a byproduct. I mean, those other guys feasted and they had a good day. It's a credit to them. I knew that D-line was pretty good. Probably underestimated him to some level. Like the other guys, obviously Myles, we all know, and he's well respected across the league. but all those other guys, those interior guys, were a problem running their games. They had just had a great jump off the ball. And so we've got to look at certain things that we're asking our guys to do. And if we're not having success, then you got to find another avenue as a coach. That's my job, is to put our guys in the best position possible to go out there and compete and have success. And I obviously did not do that.
I'm interested, as much as we've focused on.
That was sad.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though, is as much as we've focused on the health situation with our O-line and team in general, team at large. Man, the Packers, from a health standpoint, they're sweating new guy Aaron Banks, Zach Tom in the mix, still trying to, and there has to be belief in Walker on the left side and such. We know that, but moving Elgton, in at center, he's played guard. They bounced him around a bit. We worry about our O-line here in Minnesota, and you can just feel that the head coach is gripping a bit, trying to figure out what he has in front of Jordan Love. Those 5 sacks were crushing.
Today is an off day in the National Football League. If I'm a Packers fan, I'm not overly concerned about this until I get a report today they're bringing in Chad Clifton for a workout. And if that happens, well, hide the women and children.
Yeah.
This is 3 Downs of Sound, and the Lions and Bears are the focus next segment on KFAN.
Gear up for a hilarious night when Dane Cook returns to the Island Event Center. See his legendary style of stand-up comedy live at Treasure Island Friday, October 24th. Get all the details now, TICasino.com.
Welcome back, 9 to noon, as we continue kind of Vikes Bites with a little bit of a twist, morphed into 3 Downs of Sound, where I believe, if Brett can remind me, which down are we on?
Second down.
Second down, they say.
Yes. Ben Johnson addressing the media. Head coach of Chicago Bears, feeling pretty good about himself. Got his first victory as a head coach in the National Football League. Team played well. Offense was cooking. And I thought it was interesting, though, during the presser, he was talking about specifically Dak Prescott. Of course, got to see him there. They beat the Cowboys. But manipulating defenses with his eyes, and he kind of transitioned that into a Caleb Williams talker. Let's listen.
Quarterbacking question for you. You were talking last week about Dak Prescott. You were raving about specifically the way he uses his eyes to manipulate the defense. And I wondered when you were saying that if you were kind of indirectly talking to Caleb too. My question is that something you have been working with him on? And did you see any of that materialize in the game where Caleb was using his eyes to create?
Yeah, I don't use the media a whole lot to talk indirectly to the players. I talk to Caleb directly, and yeah, that is something that we've talked about, is how do we use him
directly about Dak last week?
I don't think we talked about
right on
we were focused solely on how do we attack that particular defense. So that's all we really were worried about. But no, he's doing a much better job getting us in and out of the huddle. I said that last night. I thought we weren't as pressed on the shot clock as maybe what we'd been the first 2 games. We still have some room for improvement just in terms of our alignments and all being on the same page. I think that there are a few plays we would want back just as an entire unit that we didn't quite get off as clean as we wanted to from a procedure standpoint, but I do see growth there. And then in terms of the execution, he's getting a lot better, a lot more comfortable with his footwork. His repetitions, not just for the concepts that we've been doing from the springtime to training camp, but also we're putting in new ones each week. And so he's got a good system in place right now that he's adhering to, and it's showing up on game day to where we're starting to reap some of the rewards from that.
I enjoyed that audio, and I didn't feel necessarily that it was contentious between he and the member of the press, but that was interesting in that moment there where he was quick to point out, I use the media to send messages to the team. I talk to Caleb on a regular basis. I also found it interesting that he immediately steered the question about, Do you see that in Caleb, manipulating defenses with his eyes? Well, we've seen some very good things, and he's getting in and out of the huddle a bit faster.
Yep.
The focus of Ben Johnson clearly is truly the ABCs of the procedural aspects of execution and executing a play on offense. Caleb Williams, I don't have all of his game logs, but you're looking statistically nearly 300 yards. He threw 4 TDs, no picks, wasn't sacked, by the way. So he didn't run himself into a stupid spot at all against the Cowboys. He may have had the best game of his career against the former head coach in Eberflus, who's now manning this hideous defense in Dallas. But to that end, I was just enjoying Ben not even taking that moment to, well, yeah, I thought in a couple of spots. I mean, I'm not saying coaches lie at the podium or anything like that, but there can be moments where, on this particular play, I thought Caleb did a good job of holding the safety in this mix. I thought he did move the linebacker 3 yards to his left, and then he opened something up on the right. We were talking about Carson waiting an extra tick and finding Josh Oliver there. A seemingly simple route, but just the timing and the poise involved in making that decision. With Ben Johnson, he ain't ready to do that yet. It's still... Well, he's getting in and out of the huddle okay. And,
right.
Procedurally, it's just,
right.
He's crawling, and we're hoping by week 8 he's walking, and we're hoping by week 18 he's sprinting down the field. Not ready to say he's manipulating defenses with his eyes, but improvement was shown week 3. You got to give Caleb credit for a good game.
And the more little nuggets you throw out of the positive vein, like he had an opportunity to do there, people are looking for content.
Yeah.
People are looking for copy. There are 3 downs of sounds all over the country looking for content, and that can paint something in a positive way. Like Dan Campbell. We'll finish with the Detroit Lions. Dan doesn't exactly, like Dan, when he got pressed by that Cub reporter on, do you paraphrasing, do you miss Ben Johnson's plays because guys aren't going in motion?
Yeah.
He took you far into the weeds when he's like, have you seen how many times we've gone in motion in road games? Because you got to come into it with context like that.
That's right.
So Dan O'Connell can be open that way, but this is all new for Ben. Not press conferences, but press conferences as a coach.
And he got the flea flicker going to Luther Burden. The coach was. You could tell there's a comfort level that's growing with them.
That flea flicker was diseased.
Well, it was diseased.
It was a wonky operation.
Well, did you see Swift kind of moonshot that ball back to him?
Well, yeah, but somebody got crushed on the defensive line, and the flip back was too high, so you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, he was fighting through traffic, but it worked.
Don't be surprised if Dan Skipper is signed today.
Because the Dallas Cowboys defense is the worst in the NFL. It has to be. Without even looking statistically, they have nothing.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Let's jump
they have no pass rush.
No, they don't. Let's jump to third down.
Third down.
And this will feature Vikes Bites with a twist of NFC North Nugs / 3 downs of sound. I gave multiple bits to Brett as part of this, but I want to get this one in because Jared Goff last night talking about the run game with a little bit of a nod to the O-line. Let's hear that audio from Jared Goff after last night's game.
I don't know how many times we ran it on the 98-yard one. It felt like we just kept running the ball, and then Demo obviously had the long run on the other one. But yeah, those guys up front tonight were incredible, and they were grinding. They were tired on some of those long drives, and they were tired, and the D-line was more tired. So it was good to just see them keep pushing, keep going, and those were huge drives.
So the audio from Jared Goff there, I like that because, once again, changing face on the Lions. They still have the head coach, so
we just
still
bought
have
four and a half minutes. There's, I think, an accident on 494, and Gessling's stuck.
Ooh. No, but if there is, a stalled vehicle, an accident on 494, specifically going eastbound in
Something
the morning,
like that.
If I'm listening right now, Ben Gessling, just park on the side, just walk here. Just give up on 494.
And Gessling is as reliable as a sunrise or a sunset.
Yes, he is.
So traffic is a mess. 494, he'll be here about 10:10.
And the lane splitting, by the way, with the motorcycles now.
Oh.
No, it's a thing.
Yeah,
and just keep your heads on swivels, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I will say.
Yep. Don't drive next to Justin Fields. You might die.
Heads on swivels with the Lions O-line. So similarly, okay, new coordinators, a lot of new, but the head coach is still the guy, specifically with the offensive line. They're trying to make Glasgow work at center. Christian Mahogany, that's a work in progress. The rookie cat, was he a Georgia kid? Tate Ratledge?
Yep.
And then we know about Decker and Penei Sewell.
Yep. Decker's a tough guy. He was, from what I understand, he was on the bottom side of a questionable and played.
Well, the thing that I have once again failed, Davenport of Love 9 to noon, they still have Jared Goff.
Yeah.
So while they work through things, there will be moments where the O-line looks new. And Glasgow, who had already been tried at center and went to guard and is back at center, Glasgow's going to look at a guy whose preferred spot is guard. And Mahogany is going to look young and dumb. And Ratledge is going to look young and dumb as a rookie as well. They still have Jared Goff. They still have one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL with the ability to get that freaking thing out decisively, as quickly as any QB in the NFL. And when you get the run game going, the way that we would speak of, man, as we continue to build up this kid and J.J. McCarthy, you know what's going to help him? Jordan Mason.
Mm-hmm.
And if all 5 preferred O-linemen are up there in front of him and we can mash with Mason, then that's going to help J.J. McCarthy. As they find their way through things, we saw it on Sunday where Juergens, not loving the pass situation when it comes to Michael Juergens. But in the second half, when you just needed to move man and get yards, I thought Juergens looked fantastic in a few moments on Sunday.
Yeah.
The ability to develop the run and the efficiency of your QB. The O-line might be new and weird and different and mistake-prone at times.
Yeah.
They still have Jared Goff, and that paid big dividends last night.
It would be called, I guess, Ravens Twitter. You know, like the Vikings Twitter or NBA Twitter.
Hashtag Ravens.
Cal Twitter or whatever. Ravens fans rightfully have high expectations. When your quarterback is Lamar Jackson, your running back is Derrick Henry, your offensive line is of the big, beef-eating variety.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got skill all over the place. And I understand you're down a couple of key defensive players. But, I mean, the common thread here with Ravens Twitter is, guys, calm down. It's not like we just lost the game with Lamar throwing a stupid pick with Mark Andrews streaking wide open to his right for a game-winning touchdown.
Come on!
So this requires context. I got to read it, and the good thing is that we have a pause here before the scribe to consider it and contextually unpack it. 3 downs of sound. By the way, that came with a sponsor today. That sponsor is?
Yeah, Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. Thank you, guys.
When we return, Ben Gessling, who covers the Minnesota Vikings for the Star Tribune and StarTribune.com, he should be joining us here in the TCO studios at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. That's your home for Minnesota Vikings football. And head coach Kevin O'Connell will join the equation 1 hour from now, maybe a little less. KO, X's and O's, coming up at 11 o'clock each and every Tuesday, including today at FM 100.3 KFAN.